I'm Delia. I am an art consultant with a focus on helping folks who've never really considered starting an art collection begin a collection predominantly with emerging and upcoming artists. Today, I'm going to take you on a tour of a home art collection in the Sunnyside neighborhood in Denver with the owners Tessa and James. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more inspiring homes and tips on collecting. Let's begin. This is your first commissioned piece?
Yes. It started because I found this artist in San Francisco at a local Bay Area kind of art curation event. So every artist had a small space, and I met the artist there and I loved his work, and a lot of what he had was very masculine. But I loved the style of this like glass and over it, but with like the glitter. And he did a lot of things that made people stop and think, I guess you could say. So I loved his style, but then there was no piece that called to me. And so I connected with him after, and we spoke about an idea I had. And I asked him what his thoughts are on making a woman that is essentially celebrating a victory. And so I was like, she's like this warrior goddess, and she's smoking a cigar, and she's just celebrating this victory. And like, whatever that victory is, like, who knows? It's kind of a mystery. From his first drawing to how this came about was probably like 8 months in the making or more. It took him a minute because he's a Pisces and I'm a Scorpio. And he was like, I feel like I was dating this piece of art, and he wanted to break up with it a few times. But he restrained himself from doing that. And I think what was great is that from where it started to how it ended, the surprise was the butterflies. I told him that I wanted her to be in a natural state, like pretty nude and naked. And he's like, what are your thoughts on butterflies? And he asked me that maybe a week or so before I got it. And I said, I love butterflies. And so he like added that. And I didn't see this totally complete until I got it in the mail.
Amazing.
While I moved here in Denver.
Did he send you drafts?
He sent me a kind of a second draft, but that was when the woman was purely nude. Her helmet was a slightly different style too. Yeah, it came together like so much nicer than the draft.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and he makes the frames. So like he custom and kind of makes these frames based on the art piece. So I feel like that's a nice touch that he offers.
Does it feel similar to the process of like getting a tattoo from an artist, where you kind of are giving something over to them, and
trusting?
Like you give a vague idea and you're like, what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also like it's fun doing a commission piece because it allows you to co-collaborate. And so you can share, with an artist your thoughts if you like their style, but then it gives them an opportunity to see if you're a good fit, to even be able to offer a commission piece if it feels fitting to them. And during the process, if he felt like he needed to break up with this piece, and he still saw it through. So I think, it's kind of a relationship bond building. This is Heidi Oiseth. She's an artist in Norway. And this is one of her earlier pieces that she did. And I feel like we've kind of adopted her into our home. We were very fortunate to have some friends that have too much art for their living situation. So they invited us to some of their art collection that they weren't housing in their house to be able to come here. And it like fits so perfect with the color scheme that we have in our house and our furnishings. And I love the colors of this piece. I love woman art. Previously in my old place, I had like all woman art in my condo. So I'm always called to like women figures, women art, because I think women's bodies are so beautiful, and there's just so many different shapes, and there's beauty in all of it. And I love that it's like showing that it's a woman, kind of sitting, but also that there's some mystery behind like, what does the woman truly look like? The fact that the artist is Norwegian, my family comes from Norway. So there's like that piece to it too, that I felt very connected to it.
I'm curious with a piece this big. I feel like if I'm in a different state of mind, the like emotional connection I have to it or the way that I'm interpreting it shifts. Do you feel like it has had many different emotional tones?
Yeah, and I think just like your perspective. So depending on like what mood you're in, can also impact that because not fully being able to see the clear picture of her emotion that she's wearing on her face, but you can tell some of her body language too. That maybe it's a little bit, could be sadness in a way, like holding herself. But yeah, I think depending like what mood you're in, you might call something different from the piece. So this piece is Jack Ludlam. He is a photographer here in Denver, Colorado. And he did this collection, this series, I believe early last summer. And he took a lot of pieces that were maybe already dead out in nature and hung them up in his studio. So there's like so many strings of fishing wire that you don't see. So it's a piece of tumbleweed. And this hole here represents where a rabbit burrowed within the tumbleweed as its own little nest and like home at one point. So that represents, kind of this aspect of animals living in nature and how everything is interconnected and how this was a home to an animal at one point. And so he hangs it up from all those fishing wire and we'll shoot it on film. So he shot it on film and then, obviously prints it out into whatever size. But this was a part of a collection he did with kind of dead plants specifically. And this one was the tumbleweed. This is the first piece that we bought for this house specifically. And it's right when you walk in the home. So I feel like kind of having that represent that rabbit, like this is where the rabbit's home was, kind of represents like welcoming people into our home and our space. So this is a work in progress. Jack Ludlam piece again. Again, he's a photographer here in Denver and just a really well-rounded, great guy. And this is a new collection he's working on right now that represents clouds. He'll shoot images of clouds on film and then he prints them. And what he's adds on from a texture standpoint is he'll do some different chalk kind of enhancements over it. And he's going to do some other layers on top of it. Like I said, it's a work in progress and put it in a wood frame with some coating on it to protect it. But the idea behind this collection in clouds that I understand is similar to kind of another piece that we have, but how the perspective may change based off of kind of your mood. And having this piece, be in our bathroom here, this is kind of my moody bathroom, that I wanted it to be kind of dark and eclectic and but also inviting. And so more so how I see this fitting into this room is being able to invite whatever emotions come up for you. Again, based on your mood, your perspective, how your day is going, what the weather is like outside. So having art that can reflect kind of the depths of dark, but also maybe the light of lights in some way, or the bright of lights. And I think clouds are just a beautiful piece in nature where you can have conversations with friends outside of like who sees what in the clouds, and everybody's perspective may be slightly different. So I love this piece and can't wait for it to be finished and installed. We got these a year ago, and these are a Roy Lichtenstein aspect of his classic pop art. These pieces called out to my husband, so he would probably speak better than I would, but it's kind of cool to have him be able to pick out pieces that feel called to him to incorporate into our home as well, and not have all the pressure be on me picking out art pieces. So that's how I feel with it. But I think, Roy Lichtenstein is just a classic. So this piece we collected from Etsy, which is probably the only piece we have from Etsy here, but I loved the textures of the art. I loved the very muted kind of neutral color to it, but the texture gives it something aesthetically pleasing to look at. I believe it came from an artist in Japan, and he has different colors, and he has like similar aesthetics that he puts in place, all of like the same colors, so monochrome kind of look. It inspired me to maybe want to create it myself, but I didn't. This piece came from an artist, Connor, who is actually in Jackson Hole. He actually knows Jack Ludlam, who's the photographer downstairs. What I love about his pieces and this kind of, I don't even know what the collection name is, but I call it like desert collection because a lot of it is like cacti, and it's of Western kind of wearing humans, so females and men that are either working in the desert or obviously just being cute and fashionable in the desert. But I think this goes back to my collection of always feeling called to woman and having like, this woman standing here, just like wondering what she's thinking and what's going through her mind while she's in this desert. And the colors of this piece just like really pop. So I feel like it can fit in any kind of room because of that. It has a lot to say, has a lot of character. So I wanted it to be like the center of attention in this room. I feel like she has a very confident look on her face. Like she knows what she wants and she knows she's going to get it. And she's just waiting for the right moment to like take action. So that's kind of the feeling I get from it. That was like, this is in my office.
Thanks for watching that. I would love to hear what questions came up, what reflections you had while watching that video in the comments below. If you can see the power of having a curated selection of art that is tailored to who you are and what your lifestyle is in your home and would like to learn how to get started, head over to my website, svvrt.org, where you can schedule a free consultation with me and learn how you can get art in your home this year.